Kelsey.
And I'm Kirsten.
And we are
the Joy Junkies.
Thank you so much for joining us for episode numero uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis, 7.
This is bilingual. I did not know that.
Not really. I can say some numbers.
This week we would like to talk about the concept of maturity.
Woo.
And we're not saying that we're epically models for maturity. We're just saying that with joy, maturity comes.
And now we can say that we're in the growth process.
For sure. So how does...
And out of our choice.
Yeah, so how does...
chosen to be.
What's the relevance of joy and maturity?
Yes. So, guess what, guys? This is a really awesome little nugget of information to know that was very helpful for me personally, and I hope is, and I know for her, and I hope is for you as well, is that joy helps your brain actually grow into more maturity. Thus, adulting is not always that hard, believe it or not.
Really?
There is hope.
So when we have plenty of joy, that makes adulting easier.
That's why it's great to live like your purpose and work, and have, like, if you're living your purpose, then there's joy in your work as well. So it's just, isn't that something you'd want to know about? Because this totally fascinates me.
I love everything that you just said. And one of the things I like about maturity and joy is this idea that when you are mature, you act most like your true self.
Yeah.
So when I'm stuck in one of those negative emotions, one of those big 6 negative emotions, I am not necessarily acting like my true self. I'm acting
truest.
like a lower self. I am responding out of some
false
sort
self?
of, yeah, because the false self has barriers to relationship. I'm protecting myself because I'm buried.
Because the false self holds the blockers, the joy blockers.
Yes, yeah, and nurtures the joy blockers. Like the false self nurtures that and tells you that you're safer.
I'm really
if you're
glad
blocking
you brought that up. Because
Yeah.
the true self is, like, that's where the joy is most nourished and fostered and grows. And I'm telling y'all, even though adulting's hard, there is hope. Because that's a huge hashtag adulting. We all, I mean, come on, like, everyone knows that can be a struggle.
Yeah, being a grown-up can be really, really hard.
Especially if you have to have the bigger brain than, like, the person you're with.
Right,
sometimes.
which is a concept we haven't shared with you all yet, to have the bigger brain.
We'll get there.
But the idea of having the bigger brain is that you are the one who determines to return to joy. You determine to live in appreciation. You determine to live in your higher true self.
Yes.
You don't stoop to these lower reactions. You don't block the relationship.
And this is maturity.
It is. One of the things I struggle with, and I'm just going to say this out loud. I think most everybody that knows me knows this, so it's really hard to say this publicly. But I struggle with people.
She does.
I'm an introvert, and so I really just, people don't give me energy. They don't necessarily. I love individuals, like individual people. Kelsey, while she is a people, I have no problem.
Well, I'm a people.
Yeah, you're a people. You're a people, right?
I'm a person.
Individuals.
For me proper. But,
Individuals,
you know,
I don't have. Well, she's a college student, so she wants to be really prim and proper, which she needs to be. I'm like, not so much. I'm out of school and I don't want to be proper anymore. But the idea here is that maturity cannot be obtained.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Cracking her up. This is
Yeah,
fantastic.
because it's all about maturity. I'm
Yeah.
not schooling more.
Maturity has to happen in community.
Yeah.
It's actually necessary. And I was thinking about this idea. There's a pretty popular movie out right now called Jungle Book. And whatever type of community we're in is the way that we're going to become. Mm-hmm. So in Jungle Book, it's about a story about a kiddo that's raised amongst the animals. And so he becomes more like an animal than like a person. And certainly, he is not an animal. He is a person. And so in order for him to fully become himself, he has to be in community with people that can bring him up into his true self.
Now I want to watch this movie.
I know. Well, and there's variations. You know, Disney has one, and there's all kinds of.
In other words,
variations.
Inside Out, Home, Jungle Book, you can find these themes in the media, actually.
Yeah, various places. But what's important is that you find a community that you can grow in, and you find people that you want to be like. because whatever community you're in, those are the people that you're gonna become like them, and you're gonna find a community that has people that are already mature and can call out maturity in you and make adulting fun.
Yeah, so pick a good tribe.
Yeah, we'd like to be a part of that. One of the signs of maturity, and there are a number of signs of maturity, obviously not staying stuck in a negative emotion is a sign of maturity, but one of the things that's really important from a maturity standpoint, or how you can tell that you're obtaining maturity, is how quickly you return to joy.
Yes.
So that is a
So
really
true.
important topic.
So I'm just going to repeat that because it was so important. That a major sign of growth and maturity, developmentally, in your brain, psychologically, emotionally, a huge sign of maturity is how well and easily you can return back to joy. And if you even know how to do such a thing.
Right. Some of us stay really stuck. Some of us have traumatic events. I think in the last episode we talked about trauma, and we're just completely stuck. Like, we don't even know how. We don't have a community that can help us. And in that case, like, what I say to people who are stuck and they don't have a community, the first place you need to go may be a trusted advisor or some sort of person that can help you come out of that and learn new skills. I'm a counselor, and while this is not counseling, that's one of the things that counselors do, is help people to come to terms with who they are and discover themselves and learn what to do with your emotions. So that may be one place that you can go if you're struggling with even knowing what joy is or how to get to joy.
Yeah, it's a huge sign of maturity how well and easily we return to joy.
One of the things that keeps us from growing up is the junk that attaches itself to us.
And it's really important to honestly choose to let go of that and to get rid of it, because it's not that we're completely just throwing it away. Sometimes that junk has to be gone through in order to return to joy and be able to be a joy junkie and thrive in that place. So there's a getting what? Tell me. What are you thinking?
All of a sudden, I'm just having this thought about how much junk attaches to us and how much it keeps us in our kind of, I guess in my terminology, it would be false self.
Yeah.
And how much sometimes it's hard to let go of that.
And it alters our state of life. Like, we do. You know, we all live in a world where there's pain, right? We cannot deny that at all. And so, with that in mind, that's why this is such an important thing to talk about and study and seek after, because it is possible to be in a state of joy more than you're not. And when your pain becomes greater than your joy, that is when you have a choice to go through that pain, because when you do, the joy is waiting for you on the other side of that. And yes.
There's something about that I feel like, I don't know, that we're not unpacking it, and maybe it's the counselor in me, but we're not unpacking that, going through it. So I think sometimes we think about, we get afraid, or we get hurt, or we get disgusted, or I don't know, all of those negative emotions, and rather than feeling those feelings, we instead hold back and we say, I'm not going to let that person hurt me again. We become a really negative person in our world.
Detached.
Yeah. Detached is such a big important way to know that we're not progressing in our maturity.
Because attachment helps that maturity. You have to have a healthy attachment in order to mature and to grow.
So going through it means that we have to feel it.
Yes.
We have to acknowledge it. We have to call it out for what it is.
And I'll be honest, that is so much easier said than done. To not just recognize it, but to actually take a stand and walk with that. We have to walk with the junk sometimes, and that doesn't sound like a nice idea first here. So that's why I would just quote St. Pope John Paul II, and when he said, "Be not afraid," because it is a true courage to choose to return to joy sometimes.
I was thinking about one of the things, I think a couple of episodes ago we talked about relational circuits, and one of the ways that we can turn on our relational circuits and connect with Emmanuel is to remember, it's Psalms 53, I think it's verse 7, the verse says something like, "When I feel afraid, I will trust in you, O Lord." And I think that there are 1,000 reasons to be afraid. There are 1,000 reasons to stay stuck in negative emotions. But when we turn towards a higher power, when we turn towards relationship, when we turn towards a secure relationship,
No one who designed these relations is this whole concept.
the whole idea of returning to joy, it was his big idea. But when we turn towards that, we have so many better options in our world and in our lives. We exhibit a self-control that we couldn't do without returning to joy.
Right, so to like kind of end on appreciation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Do that.
There's a scripture, a song that I know, and it's a song of praise, and it says, "Blessed be the Lord, the God of mercy, the God who saves. I shall not fear the dark of night, nor the arrow that flies by day." And it just goes to show that the light truly shines on the darkness. The darkness does not overcome it.
So no matter how small our light is, no matter how much we are having challenges with connecting, when we push through that, when we go through the difficult emotions, when we choose to engage in appreciation, when we choose to find secure relationships, that's where joy happens, that's where maturity happens, that's where healthy adulting happens.
Hashtag
Amen. And we are so delighted that you are on this journey with us. As I've been sitting here thinking of it, there's several resources that I don't want to mention in the video because I want to make sure I say them right. So I'll either put it at the end of the video or in the comments.
Yeah.
Some resources that have been really helpful for us. There's a book, and I don't know if you've read the book, but we've been through a class based on the book called "Living from the Heart Jesus Gave You." And I think that would be a really good resource for people to have access to. And then...
if you so desire.
Oh heavens, you can have engage in it or don't. It's all about you. But I want you to have the resource.
Gotta get that joy.
Yes.
Don't you want it?
Big question. When you feel afraid, who are you trusting in? Where's your trust at?
That is such a good one. I approve.
Ha. Seal of approval. That's all I have for this episode. Do you have anything more?
Don't forget, joy helps your brain grow into maturity, and maturity is actually a very fun place to be and to dwell in. So just remember,
Lots of freedom.
it's worth it.
If you have any comments or would like to give us feedback, don't forget our email. It is 2joyjunkies@gmail.com. The number 2, joyjunkies@gmail.com. So
Thank
delighted
you
to
so
have
much
us.
for joining us today, and we will see you next time
Take
with
care.
the
Joy
Joy
Junkies.
Junkies.